they needed a source of income, and that source was her. Look, Molly's right here. Let me get a picture too. Hang on. They say a lot of things about boats. I've heard over the years that a boat is a hole that you pour money into. But I gotta tell you, the Maritime Skiff 20, it's Pioneer, has been an outstanding boat for me. I've had this boat for a long time, and I've had to do very little to it. Awesome Johnson Ocean Runner. I mean, other people buy it. I love it. 115 pushes this thing at 40 miles an hour. I think it's a great boat. But what you gotta do every once in a while is you gotta deal with the old steering cables, especially if you use the boat in any marine applications, meaning out on the salt. No matter what you do, it's gonna get stiff over the years and you're gonna have to replace it. And what we're gonna do today is we're gonna do a replacement of this here steering cable system. It is not a major ordeal, believe me. Well, it can be. Let's hope it's not a major ordeal. Last time I did it, it wasn't a big problem. And I'm gonna replace it completely, including the helm under the center console. I'm gonna do the whole thing, not just the cable. So let's check it out. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do here is you're gonna wanna take off the old the nut that's connecting your steering cable to the actual motor itself. So this is not a real hard operation. Sometimes you have a stripped nut. This nut is a little bit stripped, but I'm getting it. Put this thing safely out of the way. Pop that out. There we go, see? And there's our steering cable. Our next step is going to be to deal with this side. And you can see right here where the cable enters the motor. Well, the steering cable tube. Right? The steering cable enters here, so I'm going to have two nuts I'm going to have to get out right there. So we're just using an adjustable here. And it's really turning no problem, which is always a plus. Got action. So now that I got the nut off one side and I've undone the little plastic screw that's over there that kind of holds it tight, and I had no problem here, I can just slide that steering cable arm right out of there. So we're done on this end, which is a good thing. Now the next phase of this project is going to have me taking the steering cable and bringing it from back here through the rigging tube and out the other side. Now, some of you may have done this in the past, and I think I might have done it once, but not with a steering cable, forgetting to attach my guide rope. Now see, this guide rope is critical. This little piece of twice strong, it's probably 180 pound test, 200 pound test. I'm going to attach this to the end of the rigging cable here so that when I pull it through, I'll be able to use this to pull the new one back. If you forget this, I don't want to live anywhere near you because the woods are going to echo with some what you call expletives, okay? So don't forget to do this. Anytime you're running something through that rigging tube, and every boat's a little different. Some rigging tubes are more generous than others. This one not the most generous rigging tube, and there's a lot of stuff going through it. We got the depth finders, and we got the lights, and we've got some electronics, and of course finally the gas line controller for the motor itself. So I can't forget this, let's put it that way. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to tie it on. Now that I've got the steering cable out of the motor, as you can see, I'm going to go under the helm here, and I'm going to attack the helm, the actual helm, under the helm. Well, under the console. But of course, nautical talk would suggest that that's the helm. Of course, there's practical and there's ideal. This is the practical. So the piece I'm going to replace is what we call the helm. So you can see the actual helm of the vessel right here. And you can see the steering cable coming up from the rigging tube down here. And it's maneuvering into the helm, and then it wraps around and comes out. And it's held in place by a couple of pins, which I've already popped one out, and I'm going to pop the other one out. And now what we need to do is loosen it up. And what we do is we depress this. There's a little spring in there. And when you depress that, like I just did there, this allows you to pull the cable out. Okay? Good. Of course, remember when you're working in here that you're going to have the helm, which is securely fastened to the console, as a place for hanging. Like in this case, I've hung my fuel line here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that very carefully. I don't want to cut anything else, but I'm going to cut that off the helm. There's another one. I'm going to cut that. And that's kind of a pain in the butt. Maybe I'll wait on that. I'll wait until I get the steering cable out before I cut that second one. But at this point, I'm going to get this loose and begin the next stage of the process. So as you can see, when you push in on these little holes there, it allows you to pop out this plastic fitting for the top, exposing the kind of geared spring that allows that steering cable to stay in the helm. And you take this second one out, doing the same thing. And then once you've got that done, you can pull it out. And there it is. The wheel spins freely. The steering cable's out. Now the thing is covered with grease, which means, of course, I am covered with grease. Son of a! Anyways, that happens to me every time I do this. So, we're clear in this area now. Now the next phase of this project is going to have me taking the steering cable and bringing it from back here through the rigging tube and out the other side. Now, some of you may have done this in the past, and I think I might have done it once, but not with a steering cable, forgetting to attach my guide rope. Now see, this guide rope is critical. This little piece of twice strong, it's probably 180 pound test, 200 pound test. I'm going to attach this to the end of the rigging cable here, so that when I pull it through, I'll be able to use this to pull the new one back. If you forget this, I don't want to live anywhere near you, because the woods are going to echo with some what you call expletives, okay? So don't forget to do this. Anytime you're running something through that rigging tube, and every boat's a little different. Some rigging tubes are more generous than others. This one, not the most generous rigging tube, and there's a lot of stuff going through it. We got the depth finders, and we got the lights, and we've got some electronics, and of course finally the gas line controller for the motor itself. So I can't forget this, let's put it that way. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to tie it on. So here's the end of the steering cable, and I just tied a knot. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn around and I'm going to put a piece of duct tape over that whole cable, just because I want it to be nice and clean when it goes through. And I'm using duct tape just because. I guess you could use whatever kind of tape you wanted, but the tape is going to grip itself because this is all grease. So now we're going to start pulling. And I want to be careful. Take it easy. Nice and slow, see? That's the way to do it. And it seems like it's coming through just fine right now, but I'm at my Vaseline in here and I can feel the little metal tab on the end. That's, how do you say it, hanging up there. So, I'm going to do, there we go. Just popped it up. And there's my little string I told you I was so proud of, right? Oh, yeah. That little string, which is going to help me get the other steering cable through there. So I'll just cut it off. Wow! What would any YouTube channel be without an unboxing? So what we're going to do here is we're going to open the box that our new rotary steering system came in. Now, I measured the cable, and then I remembered that there was an item number marked on the back end of the cable closest to the motor, and that item number has two numbers. The first number, the last two numbers of that first number, are the length of the cable that you're going to need. And this cable, you can see on the side of the box right there, if you want it to come in close and look, is a 17-footer. Now I measured it, but then I remembered to look at the cable itself. So what I decided to do here is I ordered, instead of what I had before, I ordered a no feedback system. And I think that should work better for, you know, doing those long runs that I do on Long Island Sound, Lake George, Lake Champlain, Thousand Islands. You know, you're fighting the feedback created by the torque of your prop. When you see no feedback on a rotary steering cable and Helm, that's what it means. So, looking in there, we're unboxing. We've got our new cable here. Whoa, 17 foot long. Nice. We've got some directions. Always remember those. And we've got the new Helm. There's the new Helm that I'm going to have to put on the console now. And of course, the bolts that you're going to need for it. Along with some more hardware and some more directions. Always nice. There we go. And it's plastic. If it broke, you could replace it with something else. But my feeling is don't break it if you don't have to. So now we're going to go in here and get that nut. Now these things, when you're using your boat in the ocean, can sometimes get locked up pretty good. And anyways, you're going to have to really give it, there we go. Oh yeah. And this can be a lot of fun. Well, with the help of a wheel puller, and you can get one of these. It's not even a rental. Go to like O'Reilly Auto Parts. At O'Reilly Auto Parts, basically, you pay for the price of the tools. You borrow them for up to 48 hours, bring them back for a refund. Well, with the handy dandy wheel puller and a little monkeying around, I had to cut in here on the side of the, whatever you call that, the fitting, housing is probably a good word for it. I had to cut in there so I could get grip on the wheel. I was able to get the wheel off. I just took out, always remember to take out the woodruff key, which fits in this little slot, and now we're ready to operate and remove the helm. So it's been a little project. The cable was much easier than I expected. The steering wheel being jammed on there made it a little more difficult, but that's why you do this stuff, because it's fun. Son of a! Anyways, let me get to work. Couple screws, housing on, tapped in the woodruff key. Look for the slot on your steering wheel. Line it up with the woodruff key. Slide it in. Steering wheel back on. Now what we got to do is put the cable through. A delicate operation. Son of a! So I got myself some marine grease. And what I'm going to do is, because of the way I routed this cable, I'm going to smear that marine grease all over the cable. Now, this is a dirty job. Let's talk about dirty jobs. This is one of them. Okay, so we get that grease all over the cable. Maybe I'm a little aggressive with it, but this is what we need. We got to make sure that that cable stays lubricated inside the engine. So now I'm going to go in there with this greasy cable. I'm going to want to route this crazy greasy cable around all these instruments, like so, and into that tube on the top. There it is. Now I want the wheel. There we go. We just feed it in. There it is. Now it fits right in. At this point, I got a couple of little screws that I'm going to want to install right there, and I'm going to put the end cap on here. That also has a tab that's going to catch in there. So I'll do that right now. Here we go. And voila! We have just done our steering cable the Aquavictus. She's ready for action. I gotta tighten that plastic screw up a little more. But anyways, now it's safe to go back in the water.